everyone, this is Georgia with Georgia's Crafty Creations, and what we're going to do today is assemble the lighthouse that we cut out in the previous tutorial. And the lighthouse is actually in 3 pieces. I'm going to show you the one I made earlier this week. You have the bottom piece, which you can see these panels are textured, which I'm going to show you how to do that. And then you have your center piece, which is your taller piece. And then you have your lantern, which is the top of your lighthouse. Now the thing I did different with mine is the directions said to use vellum, but I actually used embossable acetate because I just thought it would make the windows look really neat. But the first thing we're going to do is I have the little panels for the side of the bottom, and I also have my windows and my roof pieces. Now all of those we're going to emboss to just give it some texture and a little character to the lighthouse. Now the one I'm going to use today, I have a Darris embossing folder. It's kind of like, looks like twigs and that, but I thought it would give a good like crackle effect. So we're going to go ahead and get those 3 items embossed. We're going to do the windows, the side panels, and the roof pieces. And I'm going to have to do these in a couple batches, but we'll do it and then we'll move on with assembly and decorating the lighthouse. Okay, we've got all of our embossing done, so we're ready to start decorating and then put together. It's easier to decorate all your pieces and get all your windows in before you start folding, because that way they're good and set. It's harder to get them lined up when it's put together. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take my lantern pieces and I'm going to turn them with the inside part out. Now all your lantern pieces are the same sizes, so they are not numbered. It doesn't matter on these. And the first thing I want to do, because I want my windows good and dry by the time I put them in, is I want to glue my windows in. So I'm going to be using some Ivy Hollow Scrap Fusion Permanent Adhesive, and rather than put the glue onto the window that smudge it, I'm going to take and put a little line of glue around the windows, and we can do a couple at a time. And I'm going to start laying my windows in, and you want to make sure you have a cut line right here. You don't want to go over that cut line with your window. You want to make sure and place it in exactly where it is. And you also want to make sure and put the textured part to where it's going to be on the outside part of your lighthouse. It just looks really nice. And I'm going to leave that one set a minute because you really want these to get good and dry. Otherwise they will pop out. I had that problem with the first lighthouse I did. My lights started popping out because they weren't glued down. My windows for the light wasn't glued down good. So we're going to hold that and let it get a good grip. Same thing with this one, because you want to make sure these are good and dry before you start putting it together. And what I'm going to do is once I get all these windows in, we're going to set those aside so that they can dry really well. And then we'll move on to another part. So I'm going to get these glued on real quick and then we'll go to the next piece. So we're going to set those pieces aside to dry. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to take our tall pieces. This is for the center section, and we're going to lay those out. They do have numbers on them. They're numbered from 1 to 8. And the reason you want to lay them out in order is you're going to put your colored paper on the sides of these. And it's easier if you get it laid out first and then start gluing it down. Now the good thing is you do have some cut lines on each piece to line it up with. And you're going to start over here. And you do get a little bit of a border with it also. So you want to bring it in, just make sure your lines are matched up. And we're just going to get these laid out. You have two pieces that have a corner cut, and those are going to go over your windows. We're going to get those placed. And then those also get a triangle at the bottom. And then every other piece is going to have a piece like this. And you just lay them out and look at them and see if you want to change anything. As in how they're laid out. And I should have one more, there it is, piece right there. Once you get them laid out how you want them, you just you put some glue on the back. And I like to take my finger and spread my glue just because I like to get a good contact with it. You can also put it through your Xyron, or you can put sticky on the back of it before you cut them out. Just make sure when you put it on you get it the direction you want it. And you want to go and you want to glue all of these on. So we'll do that and then we'll be right back. We'll get them all glued on. Okay, we have all those decorative pieces on. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to put our window frames right around the windows. So I'm going to go ahead and put a little glue on these. And you have two sets of window frames. You have a little bit taller set and a shorter set. The taller set goes on the upper windows, or this taller piece, and then the shorter one will go on the bottom when we get to that. So I'm going to go ahead and place the windowsill. Get it where I want it. And then while I'm doing this one, I'm going to flip it over. And I have two taller windows. We're going to go ahead and put these windows in. And then we're going to let this dry good before we start on these pieces. So I'm going to go ahead and put that down. And once again, I'm going to take a little bit of washi tape and put it at the top and the bottom of the windows. Because we want that to dry good. I'm just going to take this, wipe down, get a little of the excess glue off, because I'm going to stack these up so I keep them in order. But this one I'm going to turn sideways so that the window can be out from it. And then we're going to go ahead and continue. That way they'll still be in order when I go to put them together. Okay, we're going to go ahead and get this window frame. And I got that over just a little bit too far, but we can wipe it off. The good thing about this glue is it dries clear, so if you make a mistake or you get glue where you don't want it, and then we'll go ahead and flip this over and we'll put the window on this one. Make sure to get all that glue residue off. So those pieces are all ready to be assembled, but I don't want to assemble them until my windows dry a little bit. I'll go ahead and dab the glue again. Set it sideways and put the number 1 piece. So we're going to set that aside to let the windows dry. The next pieces we're going to work on are the bottom pieces. Now you have 2 decorative things for here. And we're also going to lay these out too because they're in order also from 1 to 8. When you cut this out, it will cut out little numbers on it. Or if you're doing a score tool and it scores the number, you'll want to go in and make the number a little darker so that you know which pieces they're in. But I already have these in order and I've already put some tape on mine. So we're going to lay these out in order. And the first piece I'm going to put on is just these little blue pieces. They go around at the bottoms. Now these I am going to put through my Xyron because it's just easier and quicker than the wet glue. Okay, we're ready to place our little blue panels, and where we're going to put those, so I'll turn one around here, is right at the bottom, and you just want to center it in the best you can. And that looks good right there. And once you get one where you like it, you want to keep the others. I'm going to flip these around so you can see better. Once you get one where you like it, you want to kind of keep these lined up, and I'll put them all on the line. The reason being, you want them to kind of match up as it goes around the lighthouse. So we're going to go ahead and get the next one. Look at the previous one. That looks good. And then you're just going to continue on and get all 8 put on. Now my next pieces that we're going to put on, I've already put glue on, put them through my little Xyron. But before I put them on there, since I did the texture with the embossing folder, I'm going to take Broken China Distress ink from Tim Holtz, and on each of these pieces, I'm going to just pull these back so I don't get ink on them. I'm just going to take and lightly go over that embossing to give it a little texture. And it doesn't matter if you get down between them because it just gives it a little paint look to it. And I'm going to do that on all my little panels. Since they're white and your lighthouse is white, it just makes them stand out a little bit more. You can just emboss them in a stand out, but I like putting a little bit of the ink on just to give it a little more. Okay, now that we've got all those inked up, we're just going to start putting them on. I'm going to take my 2 window pieces. Let me bring these back up here. And take 1 window piece and put it around this window. And the other window piece over here. And then we can just start putting our other pieces on. And then you'll want to glue your windows in. And for this one of my windows has disappeared. I don't know where I dropped it or picked it up at, so I'm only going to put 1 window in for now, and then later I'll just make another window, or when I find the other window, it'll be easy to pop it in, because this piece you can put your hand down into. It won't be hard to add a window later. And put that down. I'm going to tape this one in also. Take my paper towel and get any excess glue squeezed out. And then we're going to stack these up too. And I'm going to put this one crosswise so the window has time to dry, and we're going to set these pieces aside. And I'm going to keep them in order. Again, you want to keep them in the order of the numbers they were because it makes it easier to put it together. Now we're going to go back to our piece for the lantern, and we're going to start working on putting it together. So I'm going to set those aside, and we're going to pour. Now the lantern pieces, it doesn't matter what order they're in because they're all exactly the same size. But before we can put those together, we need to put our roof pieces on. So I'm going to run my little roof pieces through my Xyron, and we'll put those on, and then we'll get started assembling this. Okay, your little roof panels, you're just going to want to take and put on each one of your red pieces. Just get it lined up there. And once you get those on, then it's time to start assembling. Now we're ready to start assembling. Now what you're going to do with the roof pieces, now this is where it comes in about having a score line or a cutted line. I like the cutted line because if you have a good firm cardstock, it bends nicely and it won't tear, and it gives you a nice crisp fold each time. Now you're going to want to bend all your tabs in, and then at the top you're going to want this bottom line, you want to bend towards you and the top away from you. So it makes like a little bend there. So you want to get all of these folded before you get started assembling. So we're going to... So now we're all ready to start assembling. Now for the roof, don't worry about this bottom tab right here, or actually your lantern. What I'm going to do first is I'm just going to make sure it's going to line up, and you want to go one tab at a time. So I'm going to pull this tab off, the tape off. I'm going to take this and I'm going to get it lined up where want it before I press it down firm. Because once you press it down with double-sided tape, it's there. So that one went down fairly easy. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a little bit of glue on this tab right here because it was thin. Now each one of these you're going to want to hold in place until it starts sticking. Now these are a little bit trickier because of the windows. But once it starts and it gets a good hold, then you can pull your tape or put glue on this upper part if you like. And then you just take, fold it over into the roof, line it up, and there you go. I'll show you one more. I'm just going to peel my tape off of this one, and I think I'm going to go ahead and put my glue on here because it's just a little bit easier to get the glue on, and one on the little tab. Take my next piece. Once again, I'm going to line it up really good before I press it down. And that looks pretty good, so we're going to press that there. Then I'm going to press where the glue is. Get those pressed down really good. Then I'm going to pull my tape off the top. Line this up and press it down. You just have to really keep pressing where the windows is because using the acetate, it's a little bit thicker and it just takes a minute longer to set. And you'll want to shape this as you go along too, just so it's got a nice shape to it. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to finish doing this one. When I get around to the end, I'll show you how to close it up. Okay, we're up to where we're going to close it up at. And right here, basically, you're going to do just the same thing as you did all the way around, except I'm going to go ahead and take this piece off too, because I'm going to close it up from the top to the bottom this time. And you just line it up, get it where it goes. And you can put your hand up inside of this one so you can get it. Once you line it up, you can just smooth it down onto your tape, or if you're using glue, you can use glue. I'm going to put a little glue on this tab right here. going to take my tape top off, and then I'm just going to go ahead and finish lining it up. And you can take your paper towel if you have one and wipe this little bit of excess glue off and go ahead and press it down in. And we're going to set that down for a second, because before we close up the bottom, you want to make your top up here so that you can put it on and glue it while you can still get your hand in there. So for that, you need this little piece right here, the round red one, and it's got little tabs on it. You're just going to want to fold all of these tabs over. This is for the top of your lantern for the light part. And what you're going to do, you're going to want to bend, there's a tab here too in the middle. You're going to want to bend all of those. And then also there's one that goes down. Almost looks like a little tent top when you're working on it. So once you get that done, you're going to start with this tab here. You're going to put a little bit of glue on it, and it doesn't take much for this. Then you're going to bring this piece over and just match it up. And you want to hold that till it sets really good, because you don't want it coming apart like it just did on me. Actually, I think I'm going to switch glues. We're going to use our Zig two-way glue for this one. It's a little big, but I just like this glue, and it dries clear also, so we're going to put that over. There, that's better. That's setting much quicker. This other glue, it's the first time I've used it, and it's just not setting quick enough for me. So we're just going to do it this way. And you want to kind of shape this as you go. This is the smallest piece to work with, so it's a little bit tricky, because that one came off. Okay, go ahead and get this big tab first, because that's our inside piece right there. And then get this last little tab. There we go. And you have the top of your lighthouse. And then what you're going to want to do with this is you're going to take some glue, just put it all the way around inside of it. Make sure you get it in there really good. And then you're going to take your lighthouse top, and you're going to put this on top of it. Put all those little pieces down in. Now we're ready to put the bottom onto the lantern. And what I've done, I've used a double-sided tape again. I've already pulled my paper off the top this time. And what you're going to do, you're going to use a small piece, and you're going to want to line one up first. So I'm going to bend it out to where I can get a good grip on it. And I'm going to stick that one down. And once I get that one stuck down, they usually just fall into place as you go around. So I'm going to go ahead and get them all stuck down. And there you have the lantern for your lighthouse. And it has an opening down here so that you'll be able to take a tea light and put it up through. And you'll be able to see. And at night it lights up really nice. So we're going to go ahead and set this aside. And we're going to grab our side pieces for our center section. Now your side pieces, you keep them in order also. At the bottom you have 2 score lines. You want to fold this one down in. This is going to become the bottom of your lighthouse. Then the 2 score lines here, you want to do a mountain fold on that first one and a valley fold on the second one to shape it this way. As you put it together, you'll see when you start shaping it. And you want to fold all your tabs down. And up at the top, this first fold, you're going to do a valley fold down. And then you're going to do a mountain fold on the next 2. And then a valley fold on the last one. So you want to go ahead and fold all your pieces. Now once you have all your pieces folded, let me fold another one. You're going to take your first piece. Now once again, I'm using double-sided tape. So I'm going to go ahead and pull my tape off the first one. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and pull it off all of them. And you're going to take a piece, another side piece, and keep them in order. You're going to go ahead and line up your first one. Get that where you want it. And then you're going to add some glue onto the little tabs. And it only takes a little dot of glue. We're going to go ahead and put our little glue on all the different tabs. Then once we do that, we're going to start with this first little tab. We're going to bend that in and glue them together. And then you're going to take and stick your side like that. And then you're going to do your 3 little tabs. Now these you want to hold for a second on each one until they start setting, so that they don't shift when you start to fold it in. Got a little bit of glue on my thumb. So we're going to do the second tab. And the third one. And then you can stick the top together even while your third one's drying. And then you can take your hand and just kind of hold those together a little more. And then you just continue all the way around. And I'm going to go ahead and do that. And I'll be back and show you how to close up the side. Okay, we have my sides all together and we're ready to close this up. And what I'm going to do before I start closing up, I'm going to go ahead and take the pieces off my tape. And I'm going to do all 3 of them, because this one you need to really have everything ready to close it up. And then I'm going to put some glue on the little tabs. And you only need a dot of glue on these. You don't need very much at all. And then for this one, I'm actually going to start at the top and work my way down, just because it's a little bit easier with it being narrow at the top to get your hand up in here from the bottom to set it. Then we're going to get these little tabs. On this one, I'm going to go ahead and do my side and my bottom. Line it up where you want it. And then I can go up with my hand where the tabs are and press them down and get them glued into place. And I'm just going to hold that for a second until it sets. And then you can shape it, get it all ready. And there you have the bottom part of your lighthouse. And then on the bottom, once again, you have a piece like this, and I did tape, and I'm going to go ahead and just take the papers off my tape. You can do it one at a time, but this one I'm just going to, for time, go ahead and do it all at once. I'm still just going to stick one down at a time, because once you stick it down, it's going to stay. A couple of these are being a little stubborn. There we go. Get the last 2. And then once again, I'm just going to start with one tab and take it and get it where I want it and press it down. Then I'll go to the next one, line it up, and press it down. You can take your hand through the bottom or through the top and put it up through so you can get this lined up. And I'm just going to continue all the way around. And really, once you get one in place, it just falls right into place as you go around. And then you can press it down from the inside. So we have that all done. And then the last thing I'm going to do to the base of my lighthouse is I have some baker's twine that I've just cut a couple pieces of. We're just going to take it around and knot it over around to the side. And then also I have some embellishments, some nautical ones on order from G's Emporium. And I'll put a link to his website below. But I thought it'd be neat to put like a little ship's wheel or something hanging off or down to embellish it. So there we have the bottom. Now next we're going to do the centerpiece. And once again, you want to keep these in order. But I'm using tape again. But for the tabs on this one, here at the top you have 3 score marks. You want to fold the one down, do a valley fold, then a mountain fold, and then at the top do a mountain fold again. And you want to get all of those folded, and then we're ready to start putting it together. I'm using tape again, so I'm going to go ahead and pull my backing off. And I already have all my pieces folded. And then we're just going to line this up. Just like we did the side, or the lower pieces. And then this is real easy to fold down the top, so you can fold it down and add a little dot of glue on each tab and get that folded into place. And then you just continue around just like with the side. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and get the rest of these put together. And I'll come back when we're ready to put it all together and finish up the side of it. Okay, I've got all my sides together and we're ready to close up this part. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the tape backing off first. I'm going to go ahead and get this lined up. I'm going to go from this direction. There we go. And then you can also put your hand up through this to help smooth it down also. And then at the top I'm going to put my glue on my 2 little tabs. And we're going to close that up. And then for the center section of your lighthouse, what you're going to do is rather than close off the bottom, you're going to close off the top. And once again, have my tabs down. And I'm going to do this the same way I did the bottom part of the lighthouse. We're going to pull these tape backing off. And then I'm going to do this same way as I did the bottom. I'm going to line this up with one. And And we're going to press that down, and then I'm going to continue around just like I did with the bottom. Once again, you can put your hand up through the bottom of the lighthouse to where you can bring this over and get them lined up. I'm going to take my hand into the bottom and get that pressed down firmly. So there you have the center section of your lighthouse. Now for the top of the lighthouse, you have a little fence that goes around the top. And I'm going to show you how to do that. Now in the instructions from SVG Cuts, they did this and glued the fence directly onto the top of the lighthouse and then put the circle in. But I'm going to do it a little differently. You're going to bend all your tabs up. And then you have score marks or cut lines at each fence piece. So I'm going to go ahead and bend all of those. Get those bent. And then what you're going to do is you're going to put a little bit of glue on your last tab right here. Once again, too much. You only need a little dab for this because this glue holds fairly well. And then you're going to want to line your fence pieces up to where they're even and glue that down. Now this is where they would have you align this and get it on top of your lighthouse, and then they had you glue the circle down in afterwards. But what I'm going to do, because I just think it would be easier to get it centered, is I'm going to go ahead and bend all my tabs up pretty good, and then I'm going to put glue, and I'm going to put a piece of scrap paper underneath this just to work on. I'm going to put some glue on each one of these tabs. And I am going to use a little more just so I can get it to stick good. And then what I am going to do, how I'm going to do it, I'm going to go ahead and drop my circle down in. And I'm going to push my tabs in. You want that fold even with your circle. So I'm going to push my tabs in and get this glued down, and then that way it is glued perfectly to the circle. And then I think it would be easier, except don't glue it to your scratch paper, which mine is sticking to, but that's okay. We're just going to pull it up now. I'm going to go ahead and work this around and get all my tabs glued. Because that way your fence is on there. You don't have to worry about centering it on top of the lighthouse with just trying to work the fence on. There we go. I think I have that pretty well glued. One of my tabs over here is coming off a little bit. Let's just hold that down for a minute longer. Then once I have this all where I want them, which that looks pretty good, I'm going to take and I'm going to put a liberal amount of glue on the bottom. And then I'm going to take my lighthouse top or center section. I'm going to go ahead and put this down, and then I'm going to turn it sideways where I can see my top of it, and I'm going to work it until I get it where I like it on the top, which that looks pretty good right there. And then I'm going to take my hand up through the lighthouse, and I'm going to go around and just press this down and hold it. And there you have the center section. I'm going to have to glue a couple of my pieces down because they seem to be popping off. Okay, so once your lighthouse is done, you can use this bottom section as a gift box. But what I did with mine earlier this week that I gave to my husband is I have 2 little tea lights like this, just the battery, and I put one in the base of my lighthouse. And then I'm going to line my windows up and put my top on. There you have the top. And you're not going to be able to see this in camera, but I'll take a picture to put it afterwards. You put a tea light on top, and then you place the top of your lighthouse, your lantern on. And when it's dark and you light this up, it looks truly wonderful. I will post a picture of the one that I made for my husband where it is lit up. So I hope this helps you guys out. I'm by no means a perfectionist or professional in doing this. It's just learning how to do it. And once you've done a few of the 3D items, they really get easier to do. So I hope you like this video. I apologize for how long it was because it is a very long project to do. So have a great day. If you have any questions, let me know. Be sure to join my Facebook group. It's George's Crafty Creations. And I'll post links once again down below to G's Emporium for embellishments. And also to SVG Cuts where I got the lighthouse pattern. Have a great day.